Hi class, we are almost to the end. Your final project is due at the end of week 7. If you've completed the 3 milestones, you should give yourself a pat on the back because a lot of the hard work is behind you. For the final project, you're going to pull together the work you did in those milestones, consider the feedback that I gave you, and there are a few more things you need to add, and that will be it. So be sure that your final project is very clearly written, that your thesis guides the paper, that you're analyzing, not summarizing behavior that you see in the film, all things that we've talked about or that I've given you feedback on throughout. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always email me. In milestone 1, you told me your thesis and the 3 concepts that you would be exploring. In milestone 2, you looked at norms of various subcultures in your film. And in milestone 3, you took one of your concepts and applied it to the film while using a cultural relativistic approach, meaning trying to analyze that concept by observing the behaviors of the characters and understanding them within their cultural context. A good example of not using cultural relativity is the video that we watched for your first journal entry. It showed those different types of food, described them as strange and weird, and didn't look at the cultural context behind those foods. So throughout the course, you've been asked not to agree with different ways of doing things, but to take the leap to try to view them from the perspective of the people involved, who often came from a different background than you did. Last week's discussion involved coming up with interview questions as an anthropologist would try to understand your characters' perspectives in a way that might not be apparent in the film, to get at that cultural knowledge that they carried around in their head. I've been using The Wizard of Oz as an example, and since, as I told you in past videos, my thesis has to do with power and how characters in the film maintain it, I was interested in the video that we watched last week about power. There were 6 types that it explained, and I would come up with questions to investigate these. There was physical force, which is clearly how the Wicked Witch maintains power. Wealth, which the ruby slipper, whoever holds the ruby slipper has power. State action, which was evident when the house lands on the Wicked Witch of the East and the mayor of Munchkinland pronounces them all free. Then there's ideas and numbers, which come into play at the end when the Wicked Witch of the West is melted and everyone rejoices. So my questions would have to do with how various characters perceived the power that was held by the 2 Wicked Witches, Glinda the Good Witch, the Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy. I'd want to kind of understand in their heads about beliefs and get at some of the norms and ideas that they are carrying around in their head that have to do with the power that these people have. So, as you work on the final project, be sure to pull together the work you've done in the past milestones in a clear way. Analyze all 3 of your concepts the way you did with that single concept in milestone 3, and reflect on your own culture. I will attach the final project rubric below. Please read it carefully to ensure that you have all of the parts required, and don't forget citations, including your film, MindEdge, and any other resources that you might be using. So have fun with it, and I'm really looking forward to reading your projects. And again, get in touch with me if you need any help.